What is going on, everybody? This is Sports Opinionated back with another video, and today we got breaking news that the New York Jets have traded Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers, and this is a move that I really wasn't shocked by, and it has a lot of implications for both sides. A lot of it. It means a lot for the Panthers and also means a lot for the Jets. Some people, thought this was an unexpected move. I'm not going to say that I'm totally shocked. We knew that Darnold could be on the move, but it's just interesting to me. But I'm going to go into both sides, what I think it means for both sides, the Jets and the Carolina Panthers. So I'm just going to go into what I think, the analysis, and is this a good deal for each of the parties. But without further ado, let's get into it. If you could just do me a favor, like this video, and if you want to see more NFL content like this, go ahead and subscribe. I post all the time. But yeah, let's get into it. So Sam Darnold was the former number 2 overall pick in the 2017 NFL draft, and they gave up a lot to get him. I believe it was like 3 second-round picks that they had to move up from 6 to 3 with the Indianapolis Colts, and Darnold, he showed flashes, but he never really showed that he was a guy, and he really didn't have a competent organization around him with Adam Gase, a really bad offensive line, a really below average defense, not really good receivers, and honestly, he was just never really put in a position to win. We did see throughout his first couple of seasons that when he was healthy, in the second half of the season, that he really showed a lot of progress. He really showed a lot of flash, and his mobility with his arm talent it was really good, but it just didn't translate to enough wins, and that's kind of indictment on the organization, failing to surround him, a really bad head coach in Adam Gase, but he's gone. They ended up trading him, and this is a move that I don't think I would have made, just due to the fact of how valuable number 2 overall pick is, and Zach Wilson. Obviously, you see the arm. It reminds you of a Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and it really a transcendent talent. But I think when you look at Sam Darnold, maybe not as high of a ceiling as Zach Wilson, but he's been in the system for 3 years. You already know, he has talent, and he showed that he can play at this league when surrounded with the right weapons and the right talent. But this really shows that they're going to get Zach Wilson, and I don't hate this move. I think it's not a bad move for either sides. But I think I would have kept Darnold. And Joe Douglas. I think it's really interesting for his perspective because I think he's kind of on the hot seat, and Robert Saleh not so much. But I really thought that he would have continued to build around Darnold, just how much that they're invested in him, and but they ended up moving on from him. So this is going to be a little bit of a rebuild. They went 2-14 last season, and there's points where nobody thought they were going to win anything. A lot of people were already chalking up Trevor Lawrence to the Jets, but they won a couple games at the end of the season, and the Jaguars got the pick. But they're going with Zach Wilson. That's not a question. They need someone to step in right away. They're not going to pick Mac Jones too low. Too low of a ceiling. He has a high floor, but he's just not dynamic enough. And Trey Lance, as much as I love Trey Lance, he's really a guy that needs to sit for a year or two. And same thing with Justin Fields. And there are questions whether his game's going to translate. So they are going to pick Zach Wilson. He's going to be their day one starter. And they made some interesting moves. They got Carl Lawson, LaMarcus Joyner, and Corey Davis from the Titans. So they made some decent moves. And they got Jamison Crowder, a decent slot receiver. But they really don't have much in the sense of running back. They have Mekhi Becton, a really good tackle that they drafted last year. But really beyond that, they don't have too much talent on the offensive line. Their defense is actually a little underrated. I really like their defensive line and some of their outside pass rushers. It's not amazing, but it's pretty decent. And I think with C.J. Mosley coming back, their defense is going to be a lot better. But this is just surprising to me. I feel like you could have got a really good offer if either the Broncos or the Patriots or the Carolina Panthers would have traded up for to the number 2 spot. So I really would have made this pick available, and I would have kept trading down. I believe they have 2 first-round picks in this draft and 2 first-round picks in next draft. So that's a lot of ammunition. That's a lot of capital they could use to build around Sam Darnold. But they ended up, trading Sam Darnold away, and they could have got a couple more first round picks and really surrounded him. But they're going with Zach Wilson. I think it's going to be a little bit of a rough ride next year for Zach Wilson because it's his first year, and this is not a finished football team. They are still rebuilding, and they don't have the assets allocated that they could have got if they would have just traded down. So this is going to be a rough year for him, but I think overall that he's going to play really good if they build it right. I really like Robert Saleh. I really think this defense is going to be good, especially with the coaching pedigree that he has in San Francisco. I really think he's going to transform the defense, but just hopefully they can get him some offensive linemen in the future, continue to build around him and his skill sets, and just not do don't do what you did to Sam Darnold and not build around him. From the Carolina Panthers perspective, this is a team that I really think is very underrated on the offensive side of the ball. They got Christian McCaffrey that's going to be coming back from injury, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, two really good receivers. Maybe they could get another tight end, and their offensive line's actually not really that bad, so it's very solid. And I feel like they just need to fix the defense a little bit. Get some studs in there. But this offense was really good, and before they fell apart around the end of last season, they were actually pretty competitive in the beginning. They were a fringe wild card team, but they never really materialized. And Teddy Bridgewater, it was pretty evident that as good as he is, as good of a story it was, he's just not it. He has all the intangibles you want, but he's just not talented enough, both with his arm and with his legs. And they were rumored to Matt Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, Deshaun Watson. That was one of his top destinations. And they're getting a really good quarterback in Sam Darnold. I do expect this to be a quote unquote competition. I really feel like they're going to come out and say, well, we're going to compete. But I think it's evident that day one, Sam Darnold will start. He has starting experience, and he just has a tremendously high ceiling, way higher than Bridgewater. It's going to be interesting whether they do keep Bridgewater, though. He has such a high cap hit, and most of it is guaranteed, but I really don't think he has any trade value. But I'm surprised if they're going to keep him on the roster. Since so much is guaranteed, I would personally, have a really good backup, maybe have competition to push him, maybe teach him a little bit, since Bridgewater was a former first-round pick in 2014, I believe. So he has a little bit more experience. Maybe he could teach Darnold a little bit. He sat behind Drew Brees, teach him. But yeah, this is a really good move for the Panthers, and they gave up a 2022 second, a fourth, and this year's six. So this was actually a really bargain deal. They didn't even have to give up a second round pick for this year, so they can go out and get him a weapon or someone on defense that's going to be really good, plug and play. So that's good for them. And the only thing I really dislike from the Jets perspective, going back to them, is I really feel like if they were going to move on from Darnold, they should have did it before Matt Stafford was traded. The fact that they got a 2, a 4, and a 6 means that I really think if they would have, before free agency and before the Stafford trade, if they would have offloaded Darnold, they could have easily got a first-round pick. If you look at what he got now and all the teams that have already filled their quarterback needs, I really feel like they could have got a first-round pick. So if they would have traded him earlier, I feel like they could have got better value, but maybe they were unsure at the moment, and then after they saw Zach Wilson's pro day, they were sold on him. But I feel like if they were going to move on, they should have traded him earlier, restarted, and go into free agency with that mindset. But good move. I really think the Panthers, this is a good move for them. I really think Sam Darnold is going to play good in this offense with Joe Brady and Matt Rule, and they're going to do great things with his arm talent, and he's really mobile too. So he's not a statue, so he's going to be able to move the pocket, scramble a little bit, and he's going to be a dynamic playmaker. The offensive line's better, and they got two really good studs, and DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, who he had in with the New York Jets. So there's a little bit of chemistry there. So this is going to move, and watch out for the Panthers. If they can get a little bit better on defense, this could be a really good football team. But good move for both sides. I would have stuck with Darnold, but it's not a horrible move. But we're just gonna have to see how it goes. And yeah, thank you for watching.